Hello everyone, and welcome back to The English Globe. This is the podcast where we help you learn English in a fun and easy way. I'm your host, Adam, and today, like always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Julia. Julia, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Adam. Hello to all our listeners out there. We are so happy to have you with us today for another exciting episode. We've got something really interesting to talk about today.
Yes, that's right. Today's episode is all about something many of you might be dreaming of, starting your own business. Now, whether you're thinking about a small shop, an online store, or even offering a service, starting a business can be an exciting journey.
It really is, Adam. But starting a business can also seem a bit scary, right? You might be wondering, where do I start? What do I need to do? Well, don't worry, because today we're going to talk about how you can start a successful business step by step. And we've got a very special guest who will help guide us through the process.
Yes, exactly. We're really excited because we have a guest with us today who knows a lot about business. His name is Michael, and he's a successful entrepreneur. He started his own business from scratch and has grown it into something amazing. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam and Julia. It's great to be here, and I'm excited to share my story with your listeners.
Thanks for joining us, Michael. We can't wait to hear all about your experience. For everyone listening, if you've ever dreamed about starting a business, this episode is for you. We'll be covering some really important topics today that will help you take the first steps.
Yes, let's go over what we'll be talking about today. First, we'll explain what it actually means to start a business. That might sound simple, but there are a lot of things to think about before you get started.
Exactly. Then, we'll talk about the basic steps you need to follow. Things like choosing the right business idea, understanding your customers, and planning how to make money. These are the foundations of any successful business.
After that, we'll dive into planning. Now, planning is key when starting a business. Michael will share with us how he planned for his business, and he'll give you some tips on how to create a simple plan for your own business.
And of course, we'll talk about how to actually grow your business. It's not just about starting, but also about how you can keep your business running and growing. There are many challenges along the way, but with the right advice and determination, you can succeed.
Finally, we're going to hear about Michael's personal experience. He started small, but through hard work and smart decisions, he was able to build something really successful. His story will inspire anyone who is just starting out.
Absolutely. And remember, we're keeping everything simple and easy to understand because this is The English Globe, where we focus on helping you learn English. So, even if you're just starting your English learning journey, you'll be able to follow along.
That's right, Julia. Whether you're here to learn English or to get inspired about starting a business, or both, we've got you covered in this episode. So, let's get started.
Let's do it! And to all our listeners, don't forget to grab a notebook because we're going to give you a lot of useful tips today.
Great idea, Julia. So stay with us, and let's dive into the world of starting a successful business with our guest, Michael. You won't want to miss this.
In our first segment of today's topic, we talk on understanding business basics.
All right, let's get started with the basics. Before we talk about how to start a business, let's first understand what a business actually is. Julia, can you explain in simple words what the word business means?
Sure, Adam. In very simple terms, a business is when someone sells a product or service to people. For example, a product could be something like food, clothes, or even electronics. A service is when you help people with something, like teaching, fixing things, or providing advice. A business can be as small as a little shop or as big as a company that sells products all around the world.
Exactly. So when we talk about a business, We're talking about creating something that helps people in some way, whether it's a product they need or a service they can use. Michael, what do you think? How would you describe a business to someone who's thinking about starting one?
Well, you and Julia explained it perfectly. A business really can be anything from selling clothes to running an online service like tutoring or consulting. The important thing to remember is that your business should offer something that people want or need. It could be solving a problem they have or giving them something that makes their life easier.
That makes sense. So, a business isn't just about making money, it's about offering something valuable to people. Now, I'm sure a lot of our listeners are curious. When you first started your business, Michael, how did you know what kind of business to start? Was it something you always wanted to do?
Good question, Adam. Honestly, when I was starting out, I didn't know right away what business to start. But I knew two things. First, I had to look at what I was good at, and second, I had to find out what people needed. These are two really important things to think about when starting a business. It's not enough to just want to start a business. You need to offer something that people are willing to pay for.
So it's about finding that balance between your skills and the needs of your customers. Can you tell us more about how you figured out what people needed?
Absolutely, Julia. What I did was simple. I started talking to people. I asked my friends, family, and even people in my community what they wished they had more of or what problems they faced in their everyday lives. That gave me a good idea of where there was a demand. For me, it was clear that people needed help with technology. So I started offering simple tech services like fixing computers and teaching people how to use software.
Wow, that's really smart. So you didn't just start with what you wanted to do, you made sure there was a need for it too.
Exactly. It's easy to want to start a business based on what you're passionate about, and that's great. But at the same time, you need to think about what people want. Passion alone isn't enough. You need to solve a problem or meet a need for your customers.
That's such good advice. So, for anyone listening, the first step to starting a successful business is to think about your skills and talents, and then think about what people need or what problems they face. When you find the connection between those two, you have the starting point for a great business.
Yeah, that's the key to success. So, just to recap for our listeners, starting a business means selling a product or service, and it can be anything from small to big. To choose what kind of business to start, you should think about what you're good at and what people need. Right, Michael?
Exactly, Adam. If you can find that sweet spot between your abilities and the needs of others, you're already on the right path.
Great. So now that we understand the basics of what a business is and how to choose the right type of business, let's move on to the next step. After deciding what kind of business you want to start, how do you actually go about planning for it?
In second segment, we are going to talk on the importance of planning. Starting a business is really exciting, but before you jump in, it's so important to plan first. Planning helps you understand where you're going and what you need to get there. Michael, you've had experience with this, so can you tell us what should be the very first steps when planning a business?
Of course, Julia. Planning is probably the most important part of starting a business, especially if you want it to be successful. The first step is to think carefully about what product or service you want to offer. What are you going to sell? Once you know that, the next important thing is to think about your customers. Who will buy your product or service? It's not enough to just have a great idea. You need to know who your customers are, what they need, and how your business will meet their needs. Without that understanding, it can be hard to grow your business.
That's really interesting, Michael. So it sounds like knowing your customers is just as important as knowing what you want to sell. Can you explain a bit more about why understanding your customers is so essential?
Definitely, Adam. If you don't know who your customers are, it's like trying to drive a car without a map. You won't know where to go. You need to ask yourself, who are the people who will benefit from my product or service? Are they young, old, male, female? What are they like? What problems do they have that my business can solve? These questions help you focus your efforts. For example, if you're selling clothes, are they for teenagers or for adults? Each group has different needs and interests. Once you understand your customers, it becomes easier to create a product or service that they'll actually want to buy.
That's such a good point, Michael. And once you've thought about your product and customers, what comes next in the planning process?
Well, after you've figured out what you're selling and who you're selling to, there are a few more important things to think about. One is the name of your business. Your business name should be simple, easy to remember, and should give people an idea of what you offer. Then you need to think about money. How much will it cost to start your business? Do you need to buy supplies or rent a space? It's important to know how much money you'll need to get started. And finally, you need to decide where you will sell your product. Will you have a physical store, or will you sell your product online? Each option has its advantages, so you need to think carefully about what's best for your business.
That makes a lot of sense. So starting a business is really about thinking ahead and planning every little detail, from who your customers are to how you're going to sell to them.
Exactly, Adam. A lot of people think they can just start a business without planning, but planning gives you a roadmap. It shows you where you are, where you want to go, and what steps you need to take to get there.
I'm curious, Michael. When you started your business, did you already have a plan, or did you figure things out along the way?
Good question, Julia. When I started my business, I knew I needed a plan. I didn't make a super complicated plan, but I did write a simple one. My plan helped me understand what I needed, like how much money I had to save, what tools I needed to buy, and who my customers would be. It also helped me stay organized and focused. Even when things didn't go as expected, and trust me, they didn't always go smoothly, my plan helped me adjust and keep moving forward.
Wow, that sounds really helpful. So writing a simple plan can make all the difference, even if you're starting small.
Yes, absolutely. A simple plan is all you need to start with. You don't have to have every single detail figured out, but knowing the basics, like your product, your customers, your budget, and where you'll sell, gives you a solid foundation to build on.
Great advice, Michael. So, just to summarize for our listeners, before starting a business, it's really important to plan. Think about what you're going to sell, who your customers are, how much money you'll need, and where you'll sell your product. Even if it's just a simple plan, having something written down will help guide you along the way.
Exactly, Adam. A little planning now can save you a lot of trouble later on. And remember, plans can change, and that's okay. But having a plan gives you a clear direction to start with.
That's such great advice. Thanks for sharing that, Michael. For all our listeners out there, if you're thinking of starting a business, make sure you take the time to plan things out. It will make the journey so much smoother.
Now, let's talk about something that's really important for any business: money. Every business needs money to start, right, Michael?
Yes, Adam. That's absolutely correct. Whether you're selling products or services, you'll need money to get things moving. It could be to buy products, rent a space, set up a website, or even just to cover some basic costs. You need to have some money before you can start your business.
So, Michael, how did you get the money you needed to start your own business? Did you borrow it from somewhere or save it up?
Well, when I first thought about starting my business, I knew that I needed money, but I didn't have a lot of it. So I decided to start small. I saved up some money over time by cutting down on unnecessary expenses. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough to get the basics I needed. Saving is one of the easiest ways to start, and it's something anyone can do, no matter how big or small your business idea is.
That's a really smart approach, Michael. So, for our listeners, saving up is one way to get the money to start, but what if someone can't save enough or needs more money? What can they do?
Great question, Adam. If saving money isn't enough, there are other options. For example, some people ask for help from their family or friends. Maybe your family believes in your business idea and can help you with a small loan or investment. This can be a good option because it's less formal than going to a bank, and there's usually more trust. However, it's important to be clear with them about how and when you'll repay them.
That sounds like a good idea. But what about people who don't have family or friends who can help? Is there another way to get money for their business?
Yes, Julia. There are other ways. One option is going to the bank for a loan. Banks often provide loans for people who want to start businesses, but you'll need to have a solid plan and show the bank that your business has a chance of succeeding. The bank will want to make sure you can pay the loan back. This can be a little challenging, but with the right preparation, it's possible.
So, if you're serious about starting a business, you don't always need to have a huge amount of money saved up, right? You can start small, and there are different ways to get the money you need.
Exactly, Adam. You don't always need a lot of money to get started. Some people think they need thousands of dollars to start a business, but that's not true. You can start small and grow your business step by step. For example, if you're selling products, you can start by selling a few items online. As you make money, you can reinvest that money to grow your business. The key is to start with what you have and build from there.
That's really encouraging, Michael. It sounds like even if someone doesn't have a lot of money, they can still start their business as long as they have a good plan and are willing to work hard.
Exactly, Julia. And remember, it's also important to be careful with your money. When you're starting a business, you don't want to spend too much on things you don't need. Focus on the essentials first. As your business grows, you can start investing in other things.
So, Michael, what would you say is the most important thing for someone to remember when they're trying to finance their business?
I would say the most important thing is to be patient and smart with your money. Don't rush to spend everything at once. Start small, save when you can, and always have a clear plan for how you'll use the money. And remember, it's okay to ask for help, whether it's from family, friends, or even a bank. There's always a way to find the money you need if you believe in your business idea.
That's really helpful advice, Michael. So, for all our listeners out there, if you're thinking about starting a business, but worried about money, remember, start small, save what you can, and don't be afraid to ask for help. It's possible to make your business dreams a reality, even if you don't have a lot of money right away. Okay, so now we have our business set up, and we've talked about financing. But the next big question is, how do we let people know about our business? How do we get customers?
That's a great question, Julia, and one of the most important steps for any business. This is where marketing comes into play. Marketing means telling people about your business and making sure they know what you offer. It's all about getting the word out so people can find you and become your customers.
That makes sense. But for someone just starting out, how do you begin with marketing? It sounds complicated.
It might sound complicated, but it doesn't have to be, Adam. There are actually many simple and affordable ways to market your business, especially with the internet. One of the easiest ways is using social media. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and even TikTok allow you to share information about your business with a lot of people for free. You can post pictures of your products, share stories about what you do, and even talk directly to your customers. It's a great way to start without spending a lot of money.
So, social media can be a really powerful tool for new business owners. That's good to know. What else can someone do if they want to market their business?
Well, another important tool is having a website. Even if your business is small, having a website helps people find you online. It doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. A simple website that explains who you are, what you sell, and how people can contact you is often enough to get started. And there are many affordable services that help you create a website, even if you don't know much about technology.
That sounds helpful. So, You don't need to be a marketing expert to get your business noticed?
Exactly, Adam. Many small businesses start with just the basics: social media, a simple website, and word of mouth. Word of mouth means telling your friends, family, and anyone you meet about your business. It's one of the oldest and most trusted ways to grow a business. When people hear good things from someone they trust, they are more likely to become your customers.
Michael, when you first started your business, how did you market it? What tools did you use?
When I first started, I focused mostly on social media. I didn't have a lot of money for expensive ads or promotions, so I used Facebook and Instagram to post about my products. I also made sure to ask my friends and family to share my posts with their friends. This helped me reach more people without spending much. As my business grew, I was able to invest in a simple website, which made it even easier for people to find me.
That sounds like a smart approach. So, even if someone doesn't have a big budget for marketing, they can still get their business out there.
Absolutely. Marketing doesn't have to be expensive, especially in the beginning. Social media is free, and you can start with just a few posts a week. Over time, as your business grows, you can invest more into marketing, maybe even pay for ads or hire someone to help with your social media. But the key is to start small and focus on reaching people where they already are.
That's great advice, Michael. It's good to know that we don't need a lot of money to start marketing our business. We can use social media, build a website when we're ready, and rely on word of mouth from people we know.
Exactly, Julia. And one more tip I would give is to always be consistent. Whether you're using social media or telling people in person, it's important to keep talking about your business. If you stay active and keep sharing your message, more people will notice your business, and that's how you grow.
That's a good point, Michael. So, for all our listeners who want to start their own business, remember that marketing is all about connecting with people. You don't need a huge budget, just some creativity and effort. Starting a business sounds exciting, but it's definitely not always easy. Michael, can you share some of the challenges you faced when you were starting your business?
Oh, Adam, there were definitely a lot of challenges. I think anyone who starts a business will face some tough moments. For me, one of the biggest challenges was not selling as many products as I hoped in the beginning. I thought everything would go smoothly and people would immediately buy my products, but that wasn't the case. There were days when I didn't sell anything at all, and it made me wonder if I was doing something wrong.
That must have been frustrating. How did you handle it when things didn't go the way you planned?
It was definitely frustrating at times, Julia. But instead of giving up, I decided to learn from my mistakes. I started asking myself, why aren't people buying my products? Is there something I can do better? I looked closely at how I was marketing, the prices of my products, and even the products themselves. Little by little, I made changes and things started improving. But it took time, and that's something I always remind new business owners. Things don't happen overnight.
So it's really about learning as you go, right? You're saying that challenges are just part of the process?
Exactly, Adam. Challenges are completely normal, and they're part of growing a business. You learn so much from the difficult times. For example, I learned how to listen to my customers better and understand what they really needed. Sometimes, you have to change your approach, try new things, and be patient. Business is a journey, and there will always be ups and downs.
That's such an important message, Michael. I think a lot of people believe that if they face problems, they're doing something wrong. But it sounds like facing challenges is a natural part of starting a business.
Absolutely, Julia. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that success will come quickly and easily. But in reality, most successful businesses take time to grow. You need to stay motivated, keep trying, and never give up. I had days when I doubted myself, but I kept going because I believed in my idea and my business. And that's my advice to anyone starting a business. Believe in what you're doing, and don't quit when things get hard.
That's really inspiring, Michael. It sounds like perseverance is key. So, even if you face challenges. The important thing is to keep going and learn from those difficult moments.
Exactly, Adam. Success doesn't come without hard work, and it doesn't come without failure either. Some of the most successful people in business have faced huge setbacks, but what sets them apart is their ability to get back up and try again. You have to stay positive, even when things are tough. It's all part of the process.
Michael, what would you say to someone who is just starting their business and is already facing some problems? How can they stay motivated?
My advice to them would be to take a step back and look at what's not working. Sometimes small adjustments can make a big difference. Talk to your customers, see what they think, and try to improve. But most importantly, don't give up. Every business faces challenges, especially in the beginning. Patience and persistence are key. Keep your goals in mind and keep working towards them. You'll find that with time, things will start to turn around.
So, for all our listeners out there, remember that challenges are just part of the journey. It's completely normal to face problems, but with hard work and patience, you can overcome them and succeed.
That's right, Adam. Don't let challenges discourage you. Every step, even the hard ones, brings you closer to your goal. Keep learning, keep adapting, and keep moving forward.
Now that we've learned so much about starting a business, let's wrap up with some final tips for success. Michael, based on your experience, what are your top 3 tips for starting a successful business?
Great question, Julia. My first tip is to plan well. A good plan is like a map. It shows you where you're going and helps you avoid getting lost. Before you start, you need to think about every part of your business. What are you selling? Who are your customers? How will you reach them? The more you plan, the better prepared you'll be for the challenges ahead. My second tip is to not be afraid to ask for help. You don't have to do everything alone. Whether it's asking friends and family for advice or getting professional help, it's okay to seek guidance. Finally, my third tip is to never stop learning. The business world is always changing, so you need to keep learning new things. Read books, take courses, and learn from others who are successful.
Those are really great tips, Michael. I especially like the idea of not being afraid to ask for help. Sometimes we think we have to figure everything out by ourselves, but it's true that having support can make a big difference.
I completely agree, Adam. It's important to know that we don't have to do everything alone. There are always people who are willing to help if we just ask. But, for me, I think planning is the most important tip. Michael, you mentioned how planning is like a map, and I think that's a perfect way to put it. When you have a plan, you know exactly what steps to take next. It keeps you focused and makes everything seem more manageable.
Yes. Julia, planning really is the foundation of a successful business. It can also help you avoid making big mistakes. Sometimes people rush into starting a business without planning, and they run into problems they didn't expect. With a plan, you can be better prepared. And if things don't go the way you hoped, you have something to guide you back on track.
And I think your third tip, never stop learning, is also important. The world is changing so fast, especially with technology. If you stop learning, your business might fall behind. But if you keep up with new trends and ideas, you can stay ahead of the competition.
Exactly, Adam. The more you learn, the more opportunities you can see for your business. And learning doesn't have to be difficult or expensive. You can read articles online, listen to podcasts, or even watch videos. There's so much free information out there if you're willing to look for it.
So to sum it up, Michael's 3 tips for business success are: first, plan well; second, don't be afraid to ask for help; and third, never stop learning. These are all really practical tips that anyone can follow, no matter what kind of business they want to start.
That's right, Julia. And for all our listeners out there, remember that starting a business is a journey. It's okay to make mistakes and face challenges, but if you keep these tips in mind, you'll be better prepared to succeed.
Absolutely. And if I can add one more thing, I would say don't forget to enjoy the process. Starting a business can be stressful, but it can also be fun and rewarding. Celebrate your small wins and stay positive. Success takes time, but if you keep working at it, you'll get there.
So, we've talked about starting a business, the importance of planning, and overcoming challenges. But the real question for many people is how to grow a business after it's up and running. Michael, when your business started to get off the ground, what steps did you take to grow it?
That's a great point, Adam. Growing a business isn't just about getting started. It's about making sure it stays successful. For me, the first and most important thing was to listen to my customers. Your customers are the people who use your product or service, and their feedback is invaluable. I made it a priority to ask them what they liked and what they thought could be improved. This allowed me to make changes that helped my business grow. For example, I realized some of my customers wanted more variety in the products I offered, so I expanded my range, which brought in more customers.
That's interesting. So you believe that continuously improving based on feedback is essential to growth?
Absolutely, Julia. It's not just about starting strong. It's about staying strong. Businesses that stop improving or adapting often struggle to stay relevant. You need to always look for ways to innovate and meet the changing needs of your market. Another strategy I used was expanding online. When I started, my business was only local. But once I realized the potential of e-commerce, I created a website, and that allowed me to reach customers far beyond my original area. Selling online made a huge difference in my business growth, and I recommend it to anyone who is looking to expand.
That's a great tip. So what would you say to someone who is just starting and wants to grow, but isn't sure how long it will take? Can growth happen quickly?
That's a common question, Adam. Growth takes time, and that's something every business owner has to accept. There's no such thing as overnight success. It requires patience and consistency. When I first started expanding, it took a few months before I saw a noticeable increase in sales. And even then, I had to keep pushing forward, making adjustments, and staying focused. But the good news is that if you stick with it, keep improving, and stay connected with your customers, growth will happen steadily.
That sounds encouraging, Michael. It's all about staying patient and being willing to learn from the process.
Exactly, Julia. It's a journey. You need to be open to learning from your experiences, both good and bad. The key is to stay proactive, look for opportunities to expand, whether that's by offering new products, tapping into new markets, or enhancing your customer service. Each step forward brings you closer to real, lasting growth.
We've covered so much today about starting and growing a business, but there's another important aspect we haven't talked about yet: motivation. Starting something new, especially a business, can be thrilling at the beginning. But as time goes on and you face challenges, it can become harder to stay motivated. Michael, as a business owner, how do you keep yourself motivated, especially when things aren't going as planned?
That's such an important topic, Julia. Staying motivated is a challenge that every entrepreneur faces at some point. No matter how successful you are, there will always be ups and downs. For me, the key to staying motivated has always been about remembering why I started in the first place. When I'm feeling low or things aren't going as expected, I think back to my original purpose. What drove me to start my business? I'm passionate about what I do, and that passion is my biggest source of motivation. It's what keeps me going, even when the path is rough.
That makes a lot of sense, Michael. So, having a strong reason, a sense of purpose, can really fuel your motivation when times are tough?
Absolutely, Adam. Having a strong why is everything. When you truly believe in your purpose, it helps you push through the difficult moments. If you're just doing something for the sake of it, or only to make money, you'll find it harder to keep going when challenges arise. But when you're passionate about your work, that passion pulls you through the hard days. I also think it's crucial to remind yourself regularly of that purpose, especially when you're feeling stuck. Write it down, talk about it, keep it front and center. That way, when things get difficult, you can remind yourself of the bigger picture and why you're doing this in the first place.
I completely agree. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day tasks and forget the larger vision. But reconnecting with your passion and your why can bring you back on track. Aside from remembering your purpose, what are some other strategies you use to stay motivated?
Another strategy that works for me is setting small, achievable goals. Sometimes when you look at the big picture, it can feel overwhelming, like there's so much to do, and you're not getting anywhere fast. That's when it's helpful to break things down into smaller steps. When you set small goals, you give yourself the chance to experience wins more frequently. Each time you hit a goal, no matter how small, it gives you a sense of accomplishment, and that keeps you moving forward. For example, let's say I want to launch a new product. Instead of focusing on the big final step of getting that product into the market, I focus on smaller goals, like designing the product, finding the right suppliers, and creating a marketing plan. Each time I complete one of those steps, I celebrate the progress. It keeps the momentum going and helps prevent burnout.
That's a really good point, Michael. Focusing on the small wins can make the journey feel more manageable and keep you motivated. So it's not just about the final destination, but also about recognizing the progress along the way.
Exactly, Adam. Small wins are so important because they remind you that you're moving forward, even when it feels like progress is slow. In business, there are so many tasks and responsibilities. It's easy to get overwhelmed by everything that needs to be done. But when you focus on those small victories, it gives you a sense of momentum, and that helps you stay motivated. I also think that setting realistic goals is key. If you set goals that are too big or unrealistic, you'll get discouraged if you don't reach them quickly. But if you break those big goals down into smaller, more achievable ones, you'll be able to maintain your motivation and confidence.
I love that advice, Michael. Small, realistic goals not only keep you motivated, but also help you stay grounded. It's easier to stay positive when you see that you're making steady progress. What other tips can you share for staying motivated, especially during tough times?
Another important aspect of staying motivated is surrounding yourself with the right people. I can't stress this enough. Whether it's your family, friends, or a mentor, having people who support you can make all the difference. There will be times when you feel like giving up, when things aren't going the way you planned, and that's when having a support system is crucial. These are the people who remind you of your strengths, who encourage you to keep going when you feel like stopping. For me, having a mentor has been incredibly helpful. A mentor can offer guidance and perspective, especially when you're facing challenges. They've been through similar experiences, and their advice can be a great source of motivation.
That's so true, Michael. Having a support system can really lift you up when you're feeling down. Sometimes, all it takes is someone else believing in you to remind you to keep believing in yourself.
Exactly, Adam. We all need that encouragement from time to time. As business owners, it's easy to feel isolated, especially if you're running the business on your own. But you don't have to do it all alone. Leaning on others for support, whether it's emotional support or even practical advice, can keep you motivated and help you stay the course. And it's not just about receiving support, it's also about sharing your journey with others. When you talk about your challenges and wins with people who care about you, it helps you stay connected to your goals. Plus, the encouragement you receive can be a powerful motivator to keep moving forward.
I completely agree, Michael. Having that network of support is so important. And it's not just for when things go wrong. Sharing your successes with others can be just as motivating. Sometimes hearing others celebrate your achievements can give you the extra boost of confidence to keep going.
Absolutely, Julia. Sharing your journey, the highs and the lows, with others can make you feel more accountable and more motivated. And on those days when you're not feeling as confident, the people around you can help remind you why you started and why it's worth pushing forward.
So, to sum up, staying motivated as a business owner comes down to a few key things: remembering your passion, setting small, achievable goals, celebrating the wins along the way, and surrounding yourself with supportive people who believe in you. Would you add anything else to that list, Michael?
I think those are the most important points, Adam. If you can stay connected to your passion, break things down into manageable steps, and have a strong support network, you'll be able to keep your motivation high, even when the journey gets tough. And remember, motivation isn't something you feel all the time. It comes and goes. But if you have these tools in place, you'll find it easier to stay on track when things get difficult.
We hope you enjoyed today's podcast and learned a lot about how to start a successful business. Remember, starting a business is not something that happens overnight. It takes time, planning, and a lot of effort. But with patience and the right steps, you can turn your dream into a reality.
Yes, absolutely. And a big thank you to our special guest, Michael, for sharing his valuable experience and knowledge with us today. Michael, your tips and personal story will definitely help a lot of people who are thinking about starting their own business.
Thank you, Julia and Adam. It was a pleasure to be here, and I'm glad I could share my journey. I want to wish good luck to everyone listening who's ready to start their own business. Don't be afraid to take that first step.
Great advice, Michael. And for all our listeners, if you have any questions or want more tips, feel free to reach out to us at the English Globe. We're always happy to help you on your journey, whether it's learning English or learning about business.
That's right. We're here to support you. Thanks again to everyone for tuning in today. We hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring. Don't forget to join us next time for more exciting topics.
Thanks for listening, and as always, keep learning and keep growing. See you next time on The English Globe.
Goodbye for now and take care.